Welcome in. It is the ATB show at the Buzzer. Only two of the bozos from the Buzzer show are here. It is Timmy in New Hampshire and Rubber Shoes live from the Lowell Studios in beautiful downtown Massachusetts. We've got Scotty is detained because mom said she's going out. So she handed him the laundry, the screaming children, and said, you cannot play with your friends tonight, which we're fine with. We love you, Amy. Have a great night, Mother Dukes. And then Adam is indisposed. Adam is indisposed. He's okay. And we could have had him. I mean, it's a visual format for our friends who are watching the show and not necessarily just listening. The visual format would have been stunning. He is. I'm going to stick with undisposed. I never give out his address. I'm not going to tell people where he is. He's fine. He's safe, and he can't be here tonight. So, you got Rubber Shoes and Timmy. We are brought to you by our dear friends at AAA Work Trucks. Rubber Shoes, take it away.
AAA Work Trucks, your one-stop shop for all your work truck needs. If it goes in or on a vehicle, it's a good bet AAA can take care of it for you. Give them a call at 866-783-6222 or check them out online at aaaworktrucks.com.
I appreciate the fact that Scotty's actually not here tonight because I was going to horrify him. You guys that are friends of the show understand that usually at this point, Scotty's sharing some massive bottle of brown alcohol, and I'm probably sharing the newest, fruitiest flavor of Truly that I'm consuming at my desk. I'm doing Dryuary, so I won't be doing that for the rest of the month of January. And then we get into that little window, Rubber Shoes, between the 31st and the 21st of Feb, because then Lent starts. And as you know, at Lent, I give up sushi and alcohol. And if you're familiar with the Seacoast, even the North Shore, actually, I shouldn't say North Shore, but Newburyport, not really. I don't know. I guess people would call it the North Shore. There's a restaurant that I think you're familiar with, Rubber Shoes. I know Scotty is, and I know Adam would love it. Ohana, which I believe is Hawaiian for family. And Ohana does poke bowls, which is really, if you're going to be technical, it's deconstructed sushi.
Yeah.
So I technically give up sushi, Ohana, and alcohol for Lent. So I'm in Dryuary. And I'm drinking. I probably do have to go get some sort of a Celsius at some point, but I'm finishing my cup of water as we speak. Lots to talk about. Clearly Danny Ainge now working for the Red Sox. The Red Sox were very excited to announce that they had big news, and then the big news turned out to be, it's not that it's a non-story. Love Devers. I would love a larger deal for Devers. If they were going to do something now, just do the thing, right? Right. They've avoided arbitration. 1 year, 17.5, I think is what it was. Yep. And that really just gets them to the point where, and all parties have agreed to continue working on a bigger deal for the rest of forever. Do you think, I've already casted my vote, but I'll share it with you guys since you're here. Do you think they get something done?
No.
The
way this offseason's gone, I don't have any faith.
Honestly, yeah. Well, we talked about it last week. We actually named the show "You're Ruining Rubber Shoes Summer."
Yep.
It's an odd choice. Like, just do the thing.
Back on the New Year's resolution thing. So I won't be drinking until probably February 10th.
Why Feb 10th?
February 10th, we AAA Work Trucks holiday party, which we always wait because the end of the year is usually busy for us, so they wait till the new year to have our holiday party. So we will be going to the Celtics game in a suite on February 10th for our AAA Work Trucks party. So,
that's phenomenal. Yeah, my company does the same thing. We do a post-holiday party, and one of the biggest reasons, two things. Obviously, it's less brain damage because it's after everybody trying to book rooms for the holidays.
Yeah.
And above and beyond that, we also have the metrics for the sales for the year closed out, so we can talk about what our agents did in 2022 in totality. So, so there's a couple of guys. It's funny you bring that up. So we had the Keller Golf Association here at the office. We had a winter meeting last week. The winter meetings took place at Kowloon. God bless them. And it was at that table. There were like 8 of us, and one of the guys Alexander's like, he's like, I think I'm doing dryuary. And I was like, I'm like, I'll do that. Like knowing that I had Lent coming up right after it. I'm like, I'll do that. So a whole bunch of us got in on that. And then they realized that our post-holiday party is January 26th. So a lot of them are going to say that their finish line is actually going to be the 26th.
Almost,
they're not doing the whole month much. But anyway.
So as you saw my text on Saturday, I went to the Kowloon Saturday.
Yeah, you snuck it in. I love that. Yeah.
Went to on New Year's Eve. So the wife and I went.
Yeah.
They had a limited menu.
Oh, well, yeah, because they're just trying to crush. That makes sense.
And so where we were sitting, we could see the takeout area.
Mm-hmm.
They had...
So back room far left.
Yeah. So they had racks, 50 feet long one way.
So good. It's so good.
20 feet the other way. We got there right at noon.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, the racks were full. And it was that was it. They were going to be going nonstop the rest of the night with that's just the takeout stuff.
Right. And people are literally walking up, finding their name and out. Yep. Grab and go.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And hopefully, they're at least going to keep somewhat of a restaurant open is the last rumor I've heard.
Well, yeah, the latest I heard was, because the original thing that I heard about, if people are familiar with the footprint, as you're coming Route 1 North, it's in the back. As you're coming up on the right, it's in the back of the lot, and then there's of course the wonderful little Bank of America kiosk, right? ATM, which is amazing. We always park behind that. I'm like, so if we come up and we're like, where are we? We're always behind that. Also hyper dangerous, park near the door. Anyway, so my understanding was they're gonna level that. We're going to level the original restaurant, and the original plan, when the kids, apparently the rumor was like the kids and the kids-in-law were all like, we don't really want to do this. So they were going to put up two not L-shaped, but like one across the back of the lot and one as you're pulling up on the right-hand side, mixed use, right? Yeah. Residential up and commercial down. And then I've since heard it's going to be just one additional structure that's mixed use. And because of that, it's going to erode into the parking. Because right now, the whole parking lot they have to have enough parking-ish to make sure that they can have the average amount of cars they need for 1,200 seats.
Yeah.
Right? Because you see downstairs, it's a lot of chairs, but don't forget the old, I don't even know, it's Kowloon Comedy now, but it used to be Dick Doherty's, right? Yep. And you'd go upstairs, all those seats, there's nights, I hadn't sat up there in forevers. Maybe the last time I sat up there was for a comedy night. And we went there a year ago for Aiden's 17th birthday, and it was our family and his girlfriend Grace and her parents, and they put us upstairs because they're already banged out downstairs. And this is first weekend in February or so.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I believe now they are putting up a Kowloon 2.0, whatever the hell they're going to call it. It's going to be smaller because they can't do 1,200 seats. I don't think they want to do 1,200 seats anymore. No. Here's the problem. Rubber shoes. It's never going to be the same, dude. Like the cachet of walking into that place is how questionable it is. Like I don't want to go in there and put the lights on. Do you?
You know what though? So the wife and I were talking about that.
Okay.
The place has been up since when?
I want to say 50. I want to say 1950.
And how many old Chinese Hong Kong and Bongs? Walk in and it smells old.
Yep.
The Kowloon never gets that musty,
that stank
carpet, but it never looks any different. But it never they don't smell old. It's like you walk in there and you're going back in time, but it doesn't get that smell.
I'm gonna go to their About Us because now I'm concerned that we're making stuff up.
Yeah, and I mean it's still the food. Like I know, like we go there, we sit down, we eat. We don't drink, so we don't partake in the Mai Tais and have a night out type thing.
Sure.
So if it's if I'm driving 45 minutes to just go, which I have done, I've gone and done takeout and brought it back home.
That's amazing.
And it's really the only Chinese food the wife can eat that she doesn't, feel like she's going to die after she eats it. So It's the only place we go to now, and I'll, on a Sunday, show up right at noon, pick it up, and be back by, 1:15 for lunch.
That's amazing. So I looked it up. I was right. It was 1950. Originally established in 1950 as the Mandarin House. Initially accommodating 40 to 50 customers, the Kowloon restaurant has grown to a capacity of 1,200 seats, which we have tattooed on our chests, and has become one of the premier multi-concept dining establishments in the United States. And we can wrap up the show. That is a complete sentence. It is absolutely my favorite place. It's going to be heartbreaking when it's not around, and I just, no matter what they bring back, it's never going to be the same, because the boat in the middle of the back room, the gift shop, which is, it's funny. Yeah. I brought my team there for like a team like holiday outing, and I dragged them down there. One of them had claimed that she had been there before. The other two had never been there. And I come in the next day, and our CEO is like, what did your team think? And I'm like, they wanted to go to the gift shop. And he goes, the fact that there's a gift shop, right? They're all buying hats and t-shirts. There's Kowloon University shirts. Yeah. Yeah. Not a sponsor. I mean, we're right here, Harry Wong. You can give me a call, 603-834. Like anytime you want to give us a call, we'd be happy to, we'd accept. Actually, I would take Saugus wings and Mai Tais as payment. I would accept that. Yes. So yeah, my fear is it's going to be like some surprise closing when I'm traveling for work, or God forbid this month while I'm doing dryuary. Yeah, right.
So they would have to do it that way, because if they announce, we're going to be closing,
it's going to be that they are. They're going to have to do. It's going to have to be a Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah.
Right. I have to go see about a girl. They just have to the Affleck has to show up and he's just gone. They truly do. If they did it on April Fools, it would almost be comical, because everybody would think, right, that they were joking. I think though, I think they have such a presence in the community, spending not enough time on Kowloon because we're going to keep talking about it. I think they have such a presence in the community. I truly feel that they're going to do something. And if anybody in the marketing department down there is listening, grab a crayon. They should do something where they get tethered in with Jimmy Fund, do it with the Red Sox. I mean, they're so ingrained. There's a thing, if you look on the menu, there was an Eddie Endelman platter. There is a Red Auerbach plate. Like, there's a lot of local, here's an idea too. We have to do this. The last few trips I've made with people from the office, there's that whole thing when you're going into that back room, Rubber Shoes. There's all those pictures that people have autographed and stuff.
Yep.
And one of my agents was like, "Dude, is your picture here?"
wrestlers?
Yeah, yes. And one of my agents was like, "Is your picture up here?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "You should just bring it and hang it up." They'd never notice, because there's so much gitch they would never notice, right? What I think they should do is they should lock arms with the Jimmy Fund. I think they should do, and this is so masshole, so I'm going to say it just the way it sounds. They should do a Last Supper. SUPPAH. They should do a Last Supper, and then at that they could be like, if you're buying a Mai Tai, it costs this much, and proceeds are the additional proceeds are going to go to the Jimmy Fund, and you get to take the glass home, right?
Yep.
And then get rid of all their glassware. They're going to keep just enough to support the new restaurant, should they be doing that. I agree with you. It's going to be a shit show if people know it's going to be the last day. But I think they could capitalize and do something amazing for Boston if they play it right. And I think people have such a reverence for that place. It would never turn into a riot, but it will be standing room only. It will be parking lot only. But they could do that too, because they did that during COVID. They put the screen up. You can go to Patriots games
up there.
Patriots games and stuff.
They were still doing the movies on the sea containers out back.
It's going to be sad.
Speaking of the Andelmans, when I got back home, where I'm going through my Facebook, and the Phantom Gourmet posted like 15 minutes after we were there that they were picking up their food for the night.
Love it.
And that's another stuff's like, they weren't really there. I'm like, it's the Andelman's own Phantom Gourmet. But I am 100% sure that they definitely picked that up.
Well, so what day was that?
Saturday, New Year's Eve.
Oh, New Year's Eve. Okay. Well, because the running joke with, if you listen to the Andelmans talk about it, if you listened to Red talk about it back in the day, is obviously for the Jewish community, Saturday's the Sabbath, and Sunday you go to Chinese food. Like that was always the tradition. Yes. So I was just wondering if it was a Sunday or not. All right, it was New Year's Eve. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. There's never enough Kowloon talk. I'm glad we had that conversation.
Yeah.
I am going to be heartbroken when it's gone because to me, like it just should always be there. It should always be there. And it's funny now I'm creating all these people in my life that had never been. I'm dragging them there and they're starting to create this affection for it. And then it's just going to be.
I know that's the same as with Tyler and Steph. They first time they went there was right before the pandemic hit, and then it's like right after that they were talking about closing, and oh geez, of course I get you hooked on something that's not going to be there.
Did you see Scotty just chimed in? Scotty just jumped into the chat.
Where? I don't see it on our.
So Uncle Dukes, so everybody knows, Uncle Dukes is up to his kneecaps in short people, so that's why he's not on the broadcast tonight. He just chimed into the chat, and clearly, if we put on, I have ESPN on, but I don't have it. I don't see it on my screen. He threw up Devers 11 years, 331.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So. If you didn't believe us, this is all happening in real time. Stand by.
Oh, yeah. I just got breaking news.
6 minutes ago, Red Sox, Raphael, 11 years, 332. All right, so let's just shut it down, Rubber Shoes, because we both said before the show started that they weren't going to do anything and they're going to screw this up. Now I want Chinese food, but I'd have to go.
The Nostradamus thing. We both did it, and it came.
Yeah, I also don't want to go to Kowloon right now and get a mock Thai. I want a Mai Tai, so we do have to wait until the end of the month. That is phenomenal.
Years, so $33 million a year, right?
That's
easy math. They did easy math for us.
Yep. A little bit less than that.
Yeah, that's,
they just said 11 years, right?
11, 30.
You're like carry the 4, divide by 1.
331 million, right?
So hold on. 3, 3, 1. Oh, you're at 30. Yeah, you're at 30. You're right. 30 a year.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm stunned.
Oh, he texted it to us. That's why I didn't see it. I was looking for.
I said in the chat. I'm sorry. I meant in our thread, our text thread. I apologize. Yep. So Scotty Dukes, thank God our beat reporter is keeping an eye on that while we're talking about Saugus wings. Somebody has to do the work.
We were stretching it out so we could.
Yes. We were vamping for the opening for the.
So. All right. So I have a little faith now. They still have a lot of holes.
So, all right. Why in the hell, if they were this close to this happening right now as we speak, 5/24, East Coast, January 4th, why yesterday did they have to say 117 and a half?
It was probably a deadline that they had to get it done by to
avoid the arbitration. Okay.
And that was probably like, hey, we'll just throw this out there quick
and then blow it up.
And we'll finish, all the rest of the, dot the I's, cross the T's, all that stuff. And then do the real.
So story's moving to short because obviously Bogey's gone. Zambo's out. Story goes to short. Who goes to second?
There's still some people out there that they could possibly get for short. So I think it's still up in the air. But I hope it's not like they're gonna have Christian Arroyo at second, and like Christian Arroyo is a good fill-in guy, but not an everyday player. Right. Or so the other things I've heard is Kike could move back to the infield. So his normal position was shortstop.
Okay.
So he could play short, Trevor stay at second, or vice versa. Kike could play second also. So that's another thing I've heard, that he could move back to the infield.
So of course I'm going to ruin this moment for everybody. I'm thrilled they got him, and contracts like this scare the hell out of me.
But he's young enough.
I completely appreciate that, and I just the
33 when the contract's over. 34. So that's that's not signing. Devers is 30, 31. 11 years, he's going to be 40, 41 when he's done. He's still in that prime time when the contract's up. This is what they've always said. Then they're willing to sign the guy long term for when he's in his prime, not
just to keep
for
him
a little
around.
bit of his prime, and then you're wasted money at the end. Which I like. They have so much more money, though.
So who else is still in play that we should be chasing?
I gotta look it up. I know they had there was one guy that just signed with the Cubs. He was on the radar, but he ended up signing. Let me see what's left for free agent shortstops.
So does this guarantee, and I know Mother Shoes is whipping up something delicious in the kitchen. You can smell it through the internet. Does this guarantee that you and the wife are going to be heading to Fenway?
We haven't had the conversation yet. That's it's looking better.
Yeah. Well, so
still got some work to do.
Well, to your point, with all the breathing room they have with money, like, do they put in a couple more big pieces, or do they hit another huge home run and go get somebody ridiculous? And is that person out there? And they don't need to do it now. Like they've done their big deal for the offseason. I appreciate that, but there's so many other holes right now.
Yeah, they you figured. So they lost Bogey, they lost JD Martinez.
Yep.
They got to get, they haven't brought anyone in yet. The Yoshida is gonna fill part of that, but they still have to. And I hate that they their thinking is probably, okay, we got Tristan Casas.
Yep.
People that you don't know yet. You can't. That's when you're playing like Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Throw crap against, be cheap, and hopefully it hits.
Yep.
Hopefully our which his trading, Chaim Bloom's trades, the people that we got in the trades that they've done haven't been very well. So I don't know how good his talent evaluation is for young players. They had a real good thing in Tampa, but he was just an assistant there. He was never the main guy calling the shots down there. He was part of, the same with so we had Theo, and then his guy moved up after him. This guy never moved up down there, so whoever was making the calls down in Tampa, and I still think they have someone that's doing a pretty good job down there because they just keep rolling in talent year after year.
Yep.
So Chaim Bloom hasn't proven he can do that yet. So, I mean, all the trades he's made, the people that we got in those trades, none of them have panned out.
No. Yeah.
I mean, he did good with Garrett Whitlock. But that's, there's so I'm worried. I don't want them, we have what we have, and then hopefully a few of our young guys hit. I'm not down with that.
Yeah.
And still, so Mother Shoes in the kitchen, she's like, we don't even have enough pitchers to start the season. That we talked about that last week.
Yeah, right.
And where they said, we would look at trading Chris Sales because that's our deepest part of our team is our starting pitcher, and I don't see where they get that from. Yeah, two guys last year. I mean, Cutter Crawford did decent. Connor Seabald doesn't belong in the major leagues. He's a AAA guy. He's not like, he's one of those tweeners that he's good at AAA, but not good enough to be in the majors. So he's that in-between guy, like a spot start here and there, but you don't want him starting every, full time. Bayo looks like he might have some, but he's real green and young still. I don't think you can count on bringing him up and saying, okay, we can pencil him in for 15 wins. I'm scared.
Well, and the money that they had, I guess what's annoying right now is the money that they had. They absolutely could have gotten Bogey done. Like Zambo could have been signed.
Yeah.
Like if they're not going to spend any more money, and this is a massive contract for them to do 11,331 is stunning to me. Stunning. I thought, like top of the show, we said I think they're going to screw this up. I can't believe they got this done, and the sad thing is, it's such a big swing and a hit for them. And it's not going to matter if they don't surround him with more talent.
Right. Yep. So the one thing I was always worried about with Devers is when he got his big contract, if he swelled up. He looks like a guy that could, like Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera got a little big.
Well, that's even
big contract. And
yeah, to your point about like when I look at 11,331, it's not even for me. It's not even that him being in his prime. It's just it's human instinct that he not that he won't work hard and he's not a great player and he's not a good person, but you inherently take your foot off the gas because you've got your check. You're being paid for future performance. And above and beyond that, I think my biggest concern, as it was I remember when Pedroia got the contract, and I texted Cheryl, I'm like, this is a terrible idea. And that wasn't even a big one.
Yeah.
What was his final deal was like $100 million. And I just saw 3 numbers, and I'm like, this is going to end poorly. And like to me, and I'm going to put this out in the ether, and people are going to be mad at me. I'll probably be at the game where it happens. We'll just go to Kowloon. Like next year, something happens physically.
Oh yeah.
Like that's when I see those kind of numbers, because I've never felt in this sport in this town that we can do a deal like that and we'll be like in 9 years and we're like, wasn't that great? Remember we were doing the show when it happened? Like nothing long-term about what I'm staring at feels good to me at all. I'm stunned they did it. I'm happy they did it. If they don't surround it, there's a big fat turkey on the table and there's no accoutrement. So you're going to go to Fenway, God willing, excited about 3 at-bats.
Right.
If they don't do anything else. And drinking $20 beers, waiting for his second at bat, and maybe his third until he gets hurt.
I mean, so there'll be a little excitement with Yoshida. There's, hopefully you get a full healthy season with Trevor Story. Cassis, everyone's gonna be, anticipating him to have a decent season and looking, hopefully maybe he's the next Dever. He comes in young and fills in right there, but that's a lot of ifs.
Ton of ifs. And yeah, I mean, I'd be thrilled too. We don't even have like, oh yeah, but don't worry, there's a whole bunch of kids in Worcester. Like, do we have a lot of kids in Worcester you're excited about? The farm's not what it used to be years ago.
So maybe Marcelo Mayer makes it up to AAA next year.
Yeah.
And he'll be, so that, that's the other thing that they've always floated out there. That's going to be our shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Trevor goes to short for a season or two, and he moves back to second, and Mayer comes up and takes the shortstop role. Maybe,
and I guess the other thing, never mind free agency, there could still be a trade in the works. Like, do they make some sort of deal that we don't know about? Yeah, I don't feel like Heim is that crafty. He hasn't shown it.
No, I wouldn't trust him to. Oh man, I hope. I actually got myself positively thinking right now. But I am interested. The things that I just said could interest. I'm interested in those things. I'm interested in seeing Yoshida. I'm interested in seeing a healthy, full season from Trevor Story. So that, but you still have holes they need to fill. They need to bring in 40 home runs somehow. Whether it's one person that can hit 40 or if it's a couple players in the lineup that hit 20 each.
Yeah, beanball, right? You got a Billy Beanball. You got to we just need people on base. Yep. And I guess my other concern is where up until we got that text from our beat writer, Scotty Duquette, I was remotely interested. Now I'm interested. Like I'm going to be honest with you. Like now, like yep, we're going to Fenway. Like yes, and we don't go a ton. We'll go to at least one game, right? But
Yeah.
like I'm excited for that, and I'm also excited for the fact that maybe they get crafty with a couple of moves, and if a couple of people that we didn't expect to click and have great years. I don't necessarily think that there are any other big deals they're going to write, and I don't know if I just don't know if the crew in that front office is smart enough to do Billy Beanball. And there's a piece of me just based on the relationship, the perceived relation. You were in the room. You were on the A list. You were in the room. What is your gut feeling in the relationship between Cora and Heim? I feel like Cora walked in yesterday and said, "You better figure this out, or I'm going to blow you up."
I think he was. If they didn't tell him the right things, I think he was ready to walk away from this because he doesn't want to go through another season like he just did.
No, God no.
And the problem is the AL East is stacked, and none of those teams that you compete with got worse.
No.
The one positive thing is that they're going to the new schedule next year where you're playing every team, so there's going to be less games against the AL East teams. There might be 3, so instead of 19, you're playing 16. So maybe you don't get beat up as much that way.
Right.
Because Baltimore is they got some talent. They're young. They showed last year. They made a little push last year. Toronto's keeping their foot on it. It's just don't start off.
Already ruining your summer. We got a big deal signed tonight, and you're still upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just worries. The last year, I hate when they stack the schedule right at the beginning against the AL East, and then last year it's like we're doing horrible right off the start. It's like let us play a couple of the cupcakes to start the season off. Let us get a little winning streak going, and the Texas Rangers are going all in too. They signed 2 big free agents last offseason. They're right back at it again this year. They're gonna the wild card spots.
Well, they have their 3rd new ballpark in 10 years, so they're gonna pay for it, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna fill those seats.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not over by May. Hopefully June we can get to the nice weather and go to a June game and still have hope.
Yeah, I see. Where my head is at on that. I think if we come out hot and we get to the break and we fall apart, I'd rather have us struggle into the break, not entirely into the break.
Yeah, not.
I'd rather have us at about 38% into July, and then they get to figure it out. Make some deals at the trade deadline, July 31st. We get some.
Just be in it. Be in it.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah, they don't have to be in first place. Just be in it. Be within striking distance, and then turn it on in the second half. I like that game plan.
Well, that's exciting. Rafael Devers, Red Sox get to 11 years, 331. And speaking of teams that missed the playoffs, what's going on with the Celtics?
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of Fenway Park.
Well, we're going to go back. We'll go back to Fenway. We'll go back to Fenway for sure.
So they lost to Denver and they lost to OKC. Both nights they were horrible from 3-point land. They shot 30% last night. They were, I think, 27.6%.
There was one three Denver that Tatum threw up from the bottom. I'm going to say the bottom of the screen from this corner. And he threw it up, and before it clanged off the front of the rim, his head went back. Like he knew it was not good, right? He just wasn't feeling it last night.
Yeah. And the problem when they're not hitting the 3, they keep shooting the 3.
Yeah, they're gonna fix it.
It's like, okay, we're not hitting it. Let's go to the hole and
no.
Yeah, it wasn't that. But I tell you, one trend this season is they have trouble against the young athletic teams. So OKC last night, they're missing their best player, but they're young. They move the ball. They're quick, and that's the same. They had trouble last year against Detroit. They've had trouble this year against Cleveland and what's the other team Cleveland and wasn't Detroit another team in that what's around Michigan area?
The what?
There was another. They lost two. Chicago. Yeah, I knew it was around the Great Lakes.
Okay.
So Chicago also. They have a few older guys on Chicago, but they have a lot of young athletic players, and they seem to have trouble with the young athletic type teams. But I mean, Christmas Day, great game against Milwaukee. So part of me also thinks last night looking past them, like, we're just playing this young team. They're not that good. We got Dallas and Luka Thursday night that they're looking past. They're like, we really want to, the guy everyone's talking about MVP against Tatum, and we're going to show him, and you just kind of look past OKC. I think that good chance that's kind of what happened.
Do you think
they're still actually, I haven't checked the standings. I still think they're the best team in the league, if not they're one game off. So they're still up there. So they play, I think, Brooklyn coming up, and Brooklyn's been one of the hottest teams in the league.
Yeah, for sure, right? That's going to be a good test.
Yeah.
See where their heads are at. Yeah, it's just I feel like every night I look up and I'm like last night, at one point it was at least an 18-point, 20-point gap. And I'm what is taking place right now?
Yeah, they got smoked last night.
Because when we're watching it, like we're just laying there, we're watching it like passively, for the most part. And like I looked up a couple of times, I'm like, oh my God. And I have no problem I get all the warts out now, so they're grooving for the end again. Like I feel strongly about that, but
there are ugly games. Yeah.
Well, the ugly games aren't good, and then I guess this group is still, young enough and emotionally volatile enough that I don't know what's going to throw them off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, could they all get in their own heads? Like, suddenly they all decided, like, those two decided they're going to be the, I'm going to say Twin Towers, and Smart has taken on the role as, like, the senior member, because he's like tenured the longest Celtic on the team, which is crazy. And they found their groove, I think, when they accepted those roles. I'm not saying they're throwing those roles out. And if they're in a rough spot, cool. But it just feels like it's a little longer than feels comfortable, and it's against teams that it shouldn't be happening against. But to your point, they're looking past some people, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, and what I haven't noticed, and you guys watch it much more with more of a coaching eye than I do. Do you think at this point maybe there's some exhaustion? Do they start to have to do some load management and give some people some rest? Should there be some of these games where we don't put them out there? Because like maybe Tatum's going out and saying, dude, I should be sitting on the bench tonight, right? And somebody else should be getting more reps. Is that could that be it?
Last night there was part of the game where they had they had just Jaylen Brown out there with four guys, and then they had Tatum out there, and then they got down by quite a bit. Then they put then they put Brown, Tatum, Marcus back in, and then at that point it was and also when they're on a road trip, they started out so well. The real way that you're gonna get back into a game like that is defense, locking down, and they just they didn't want to do it last night. Because Oklahoma scored 150 on them, so they had 75 in the first half. Oh, and 75 in the second half. Oh, yeah.
This math brought to you by our friends at AAA Work Trucks. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we get the math out of the way. Yep.
Yeah, there was very little defense on the Celtics defensive end.
Mm.
And that's how you have to get back in these games. And it's, they're like, oh, we want to save it for Dallas,
Yeah. Yep. So back to Fenway.
Yep.
So pleased with the result because I was super annoyed. I'm like, don't have this game. This is a showcase game for us. Like, it's not possible that we're not allowed to lose, but you're not allowed to lose this frigging game. Like, figure it out. So that was a great result. I'm stunned, and I know the weather was much better. I'm stunned that people are willing to load up. Fenway was juiced, which completely makes sense. I understand the nostalgia of an event like that. Knowing what people paid to sit in awkward sight lines to watch, you can't.
Yeah,
if you called me and said, dude, AAA work trucks, we get 20 seats. Meet me down there, and I'm just dropping a hint to management.
Yeah,
like all day. But like for me to dig into my wallet in this economy and be like, here's my $700.
Right,
I can't wait to sit in the bleachers. This is going to be terrible. Right,
you're going just to say that you were there.
Yeah,
you're probably watching the game off the big screen in center field,
dude. So much. I got caught a couple of weeks ago when Francis and I were at the Blue Jackets Bruins game because we're sitting on the 50. But I'm doing this, that, and then I keep looking up. Like God bless Mayor Menino, God rest his soul. The Bumbletron is right in front of you, Right. It's sort of tough not to look up at the giant 8K television to see some of the finesse moves that Pasta's throwing around. So, yeah, I love that it's packed, and I'm glad that it was a phenomenal result. I can't imagine, and I know a lot of those seats aren't paid for. A lot of those seats are Putnam and John Hancock and all that kind of stuff. But the guy that's like, you know what? Screw the Bills this month.
Did you see them arrive?
Loved what they did with that.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was legit. I love that they had both teams in there. And I love that they keep doing these games with, well, I guess the thing we haven't talked about, here it comes. The annoying part was the Bruins weren't hosting. Actually, the Penguins were hosting.
Yeah.
Because that's their ballpark, right? Like in the grand scheme of things. And that was probably, to me, the most satisfactory portion of the program was that the Bruins did win. Because if the Penguins won on their home ballpark, I would have lost my mind. Like, I'm like, don't ruin this.
It was a showcase for Omar. He kept them in it the first two periods.
Super did.
That was good. Let the rest of the country know that, we have a number one goalie that's pretty good, and he has a really good record, and this is why.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Great stops.
Yeah,
so,
he was really good. And the one highlight reel play was that between the legs pass to himself that Marshy did up at the point.
Yeah,
that was like that. It's gonna be like he's so, like everybody calls him a water bug. He's so erratic on the ice. He just moves so quickly. Like he's like a hummingbird, right? With some of his, the way he skates and controls the puck. I fear that when he does, was it Max on ESPN that said that Brady was at the cliff, right?
Oh, yeah.
I fear that when the cliff comes for Marsh, it's going to be very quick. I feel like I not that I want to watch his skills erode slowly, but he's so, like, you see him do stuff. Like, he's been on the ice for a long time, and he's just so nasty. That was such a great play.
It's so hard to think back that he was a scrappy fourth liner when he first cracked the club, and that he's one of the elite players on the team in the league. It's like he put the work in.
Probably what's most exciting, because TNT clearly adores him. They called him Mr. TNT in the post-game interview. I've never, and I mean, I've always loved him. Like, everybody's just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's licking face. I'm like, I don't care. He's our guy. Like, he could, he could kill somebody. I'd be like, I'll help you bury the body. He's our guy, right? So when they brought him out, I've never seen him go that long. And there was no room for them to ask additional questions. It was like he was writing a thesis.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, so how do you feel about like hot dog? Is it a sandwich? And he went on for like 17 minutes. So well-spoken. Not that I thought that he wasn't intelligent or not well-spoken, but so well-spoken. He's going to go right from the ice to the booth.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. Like if he didn't write his ticket for that, he'll either be on Nesson or like he'll be somewhere doing that. He is phenomenal.
The thing though with the face licking is that he doesn't need to do that stuff. Like when he first got in, that was his thing. He was the agitator.
Yes.
He wasn't, a 30-goal scorer back then.
Yep.
Now it's like you need to keep out of the penalty box. You're important to the team.
Yep. Yeah. That was a phenomenal play.
He'll go, for such a long time and not have any episodes, and then out of nowhere he'll pull some stupid thing again, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yep. And for both of our goals to be Jake DeBrusk, right? Second one obviously being the rebound off of Tyler, but like unbelievable.
More and more stuff that is happening this season.
It's proving
that they did not like their coach last year.
Jake DeBrusk had such a great day. It was like, it was unbelievable. And I thought it was interesting for it to unfold the way it did. And I was saying, Jenny and I were talking about it, like, to your point, there's so many things that are happening this year that are uncovering the unrest that nobody, and God bless him, because it really, like, you had me convinced that he was getting booed. That kid was getting booed last year at the Garden when he would touch the puck like he was Bill Lambier in the 80s, right?
Right.
Their silence, God bless them, they protected that locker room. They protected the trust. They didn't go, because everybody was crediting Cassidy. And listen, he was fruitful while he was here. But then people are just like, well, he's good because he's I'm going to screw this up. It was not like Belichick. Belichick protects the players. Belichick doesn't blame people, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about how Cassidy was very, who are they referring to? That's in Boston. Because Cora doesn't do it either. I don't necessarily think, was it Brad? It wasn't Brad Roberts or I'm sorry, Brad Stevens.
Well, I know, no, but
they were likening
Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers was like that.
Yeah, they were likening Cassidy to, like, well, he's very candorous and he'll just say what's on his mind and all that stuff. And like they used to respond to it, then they stopped responding to it, and then there was a code of silence, and they certainly locked and loaded on that. And you didn't really know, because as a fan, I'm sitting home, I was mad at DeBrusk. I'm like, he wants to get traded. Look at that. Right. All that bullshit got started. He probably did because he didn't want to be with Cassidy.
Yeah.
But he didn't start that narrative. And now they are lighting it up. And I love that Montgomery has his whole renewal. Like, he's here, he's sober, it's all going well. He's a great coach, and the kids love him.
Yep.
And I know in 4 years we're going to be probably replacing him because that's sports. But right now he's such a great fit. And he was so humbled to be behind the bench at Fenway representing this team and this tradition. And he's like, the place was electric, and to deliver a win to the fans on a day like today is second to none. And he's awesome. I adore him. He's great.
Yeah, I keep waiting for the wheels to fall off. And
I agree with you, though. I think, I would like to see them have a bump in the road. The Celtics could give away their bump and maybe hand it to the Bruins for a little bit.
Yeah, not like
I don't want it to happen in an inopportune moment. First round, one and done, right? That would be terrible, right? Like if they're going to have a hiccup. Yeah. If they're going to.
In hockey, it can happen so easy.
Yeah, well, they're also the team that I was sitting here at the top of the season because I thought of all the recoveries coming back. Like, Marshy was back way quicker than we expected. McAvoy, I had said to you guys, like, this team's screwed. Like I don't. Right. I forget what my numeric proposal was, but I had them not going to the playoffs. And in the NHL, you have to try to not go to the playoffs.
Right. So I was wishful that they would be able to tread water till they got all the people back, and then be in that last playoff spot and then make a little run. And I don't think anyone can say they saw this coming.
Not at all.
If they say, If someone tells you, "Oh yeah, I knew they were going to be this good,"
Yep.
right from the beginning, it's like you're lying.
They're lying.
Because
Yes.
nobody, with having those injuries right from the start, there's no way anyone could say, "Oh yeah, they're going to be the best team in hockey right from the get go." No, it's like a dream.
Yeah, it is. It is unbelievable. It's fun to watch, which is good because, and I mean, usually I certainly, I think a lot of people, if you're a news watcher, and I watch the news, I know people hate the news. Sports for so many people is such an escape, and Monday night became very real, horrifyingly real, right? So our prediction for the Patriots, I believe you said 7-10. I said 8-8. And I'm gonna skip right over the headline and go right to the heart of the story. I'm gonna give you my take, and I'm not doing this to be contrarian or say something outlandish to start a conversation. It's just you and I. I would love, quite honestly, with everything going on right now, because I don't think we're getting closer to a medical resolution for Damar. I would be proud of my team if Bill and Bob called the Bills and called Goodell and said, we'll either take, I mean, they can't call and say we'll take a tie because it would never happen anyway, right? Like that, they wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
The game needs to, we'll forfeit. Or because we can forfeit. I know the Bengals still have to play a game this Sunday, but if they take the Patriots game off the schedule, which I know nobody agrees with right now, I sort of don't care. If we take the forfeit because this is such a remarkable circumstance, and give them a little bit of freedom to, because I think the Bengals game, which isn't getting resolved before Sunday, the NFL is going to play Week 18 as scheduled. So does it benefit the Bills if we step down and take a forfeit? No, I know they're not going to do it. Nothing would surprise me at this point. The Bengals have to go play their game, and then there's going to be an additional game. How soon? Well,
it depends on, it's depending on the results of Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Buffalo is whether or not, I think Kansas City and Buffalo have to lose and Cincinnati has to win for that game to have to be played.
Okay. So it all does matter. Yeah, all right, so Damar is still, and they haven't called it a medically induced coma, but he's been sedated.
Right.
The best thing his body can do to keep him growing and healing is to keep him under.
Reports today have come out and said that he's progressing.
Yes, which is awesome. So I think they're moving towards resolution. I think people are feeling better about it minute by minute. And I'd love to see emotionally. I want to see the game on Sunday because I think I forget what they
huge tribute to him.
It's like Geha Stadium or whatever, GEHA, whatever the hell they call it. Come on, be honest. It's Flutie Stadium. Flutie Stadium is going to be lit. It's going to be amazing. I think it's funny. These things always happen. We'll be watching some big game, and without fail, I will text Bobby Dugan on the West Coast, or he'll text me, and we'll be like, "Well, that was it. The ice is tilted in their favor, or the field is tilted in their favor." And this happens all the time, and I know it has nothing to do with the game, but to me, cosmically, I think it does. There's always a tipping point. When we played the St. Louis Blues, there was that girl, and the Blues kept inviting her and I said to my wife at the start of the series, I'm like, this girl is the tipping point. The Blues are going to win because of her. And I love the Bruins, and I want us to win, but the Blues are going to win because of her. And I think Damar serves as their emotional tipping point.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we overcome the energy, the love, the emotion that's going to be in that stadium on Sunday to pull it out. I'm excited to watch it. I think it's going to be probably this is going to have ridiculous playoff ratings. Yeah. And it's not that Damar is going to make an appearance or anything like that, but I think people just everybody wants to be connected to it.
Right.
It was so and I know you were watching when they kept cutting back to Susie Colbert and Booger McFarland and Adam Schefter. It was so unprecedented. And Susie Colbert, God bless her, she was trying to keep it not light, but she was trying to keep it moving. Booger was just emotional. And I'm going to call out Adam Schefter. And maybe this is just me overthinking it because I perceive that I know where his head and heart were. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I felt like he was watching his He was watching his MacBook and his phone so he could report before Ian
Get a
Rappaport.
scoop. Yeah.
I couldn't pull my eyes away from him not listening or making eye contact with Susie and being part of a synergistic conversation between three humans about one human that the whole world is watching right now. And Schefter was just watching his notebook. And if you're watching the notebook at that point for anything, you were looking to report on gloom and doom. And I thought that was just so callous in the moment. It was sort of ridiculous. And then you see that Stephon Diggs Lubered, it's my term, Lubered to the hospital, like didn't travel home with his team. Lubered to the hospital and went in to check on Damar, and fans from both teams were outside the hospital. I think there's still a crowd outside the hospital. I think it's a really cool story. I think it's something that everybody can lean into. His little GoFundMe page, you know this whole story, right?
Oh yeah.
So 2 years ago, he started a GoFundMe page for like Toys for Tots for this foundation he was connected to. The initial goal was 2,500. It's now north of 5 million, I believe.
Oh, no, it's over 6 now.
Is it over 6 now? It was like 5 this morning or something. Unbelievable. There's such a massive
And
opportunity for the NFL to get this right.
Bob Kraft
I hope they do.
Bob Kraft donated $18,003.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I guess Steph was saying that 18 is
huge in the Jewish tradition.
Yeah. And then
the Jewish faith.
His number 3.
Yeah. 18 in the Jewish faith. It's always I had
like
some clients,
family or something like that. So,
yeah, it's there's a and then obviously the 3 for Damar. Yep. Super cool. And Brady made a huge donation as well.
It's like every morning I wake up and they're like, oh, it was first it was 2 million, then it was 4 million, now it's 6 million. It's like, holy crap.
So the game's probably going to get played. I refuse to make a prediction on this one. I'm going to pretend I'm calling the game. I'm going to recuse myself from a prediction on this one.
Well,
I want
a chance going into it without any emotional backing, but they might get rolled. Patriots might get rolled in this.
Yeah, well, I was rooting for 8 and 9 anyway, and we missed the playoffs. I'm happy to be the doormat for the Bills.
I know Scotty Dukes' resolution is already busted, and he thinks that they're gonna, they make the playoffs and go on a run.
Yeah,
but I don't need that one game to see them lose to Kansas City or Buffalo.
No.
I'm good. Let's call it a season, and let's make the right changes going forward. Let's dip into the coaching pool and get a real offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's
Alabama's done playing.
Dude, the day after their bowl game, he should have been at Foxborough. And you could say, well, at this point you just wait. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you know what? If you think that you can, I think we all feel, whether you think it's possible, I certainly feel it's possible for Bill O'Brien to come in and to make immediate change. He can have a massive immediate effect on their results. And you bring him in yesterday. So I don't know why he's not already there. If he doesn't end up being there, maybe that's the other side of this shitty coin that is Devers' big deal. Maybe that's God's like, well, we're going to give you Devers, but you're definitely not getting Billy O'Brien. He should be here already. I'm so excited to see them start to make the changes, which they're probably going to wait to do. And we're not going to hear anything immediately, but 4,000% on that. I guess from a like the competition committee and however they're going to view, there's nothing about the play that was there were a couple of things on ESPN where somebody teed up a comment. Stephen A had said something to somebody, and I believe Bart Scott started talking about how T. Higgins dropped his head. That tackle was a tackle. There's been a few different doctors that I've heard on, and they're just like, when it comes to any sort of a heart condition or a susceptibility with something around cardiac, it could be the matter of the right second. That the impact
so most likely it was I think it's Commodio Cartius or something like that.
Yep.
It's being struck in the heart. So it happens a lot of times with baseball, softball, lacrosse, getting hit with a ball in the heart.
Yep.
It hits the heart at a perfect well,
The worst time.
perfect storm
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing that it's, and I looked it up earlier today. It happens about 12 times a year.
Wow.
That's how fluky this is. And so it's just, he hit him with his shoulder pad in his chest plate,
Yep.
and it just hit him right at the right time or the wrong time
Yep.
to cause this to happen.
Yep.
It's nothing you're gonna try and get out of the game. There was no dirty
Yeah.
hit. There was
Exactly. Exactly.
It was just a fluky bad situation that happened, and where he stood up right after the hit, and then he just collapsed because I think your body still has breath in it,
Yeah.
and it takes but then the heart had stopped.
Yeah. I think what's amazing. It's funny. It's just I'm gonna be wrong on this. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago. At least high school and junior lacrosse, they all had to get different that gear, right? And it's so funny because when they first started playing, Bubba had his gloves, elbow pads, the shoulder pads with the pads that drop down over the lats, over the traps, like all the things. And as they get older, and you see a lot of high school teams, they're not wearing like even short sleeve shirts; they're wearing pinnies. All the cool kids pull off the pads that drop over the arm. But they had to move to this style, and they have to wear it now, where there's an expanded, it's a huge triangle on their chest.
Yeah.
For that very reason.
Right.
Because Janina was freaking out because she's like, oh my God, one of the most prevalent sports for this is lacrosse. I'm like, that's why the chest plate is the way the chest plate is. Yeah. So I think I think because
have her look up how many cases every year happen, and that'll put her mind at ease.
Well, I think 2 things. Sure, and then there's Murphy's Law, so like she's still going to be freaked out as a mom, and I appreciate that. I think what the NFL might consider is because of, you see, and it drives me crazy because like I can't, like I'm going to pick on Tyquan Thornton, perfect example. These wide receivers that are 92 pounds soaking wet, they have their pants pulled up over their knees. Nobody's wearing knee pads anymore. Yeah. The pants are up over their knees. Their legs are just out there like a pretzel stick waiting to snap. It makes me sick to my stomach. Every time somebody gets tackled now, like Tyquan Thornton's getting tackled, I just have the Zapruder film of Joe Theismann, right? Like, oh my God, nobody snap a leg. Nobody snap a leg. And think back to when you and I played youth football and high school football. The pads were so big and chunky, right? Yeah. The pads are so light and and depending on what brand you're wearing, Douglas or whatever, they're so tiny now. And I think the wide receivers for the most part are wearing and the skill positions, the D-backs and the wide receivers are probably wearing like the lightest of them all. I think the NFL is probably universally going to need to do something. Right. Not something additional, but there's going to be a new standard. If not, I can't imagine it won't be next September. If not by next season, within a year, they have to do something to address it because it's not the contact, it's maybe the lack of, which still at the right speed, you've got a professional athlete running into you at some of these guys coming in 12 miles an hour. Like I don't know like what their top speeds are when they're about to tackle. But yeah, T. Higgins didn't drop it. T. Higgins was just making a football play. Like he was running and he sees somebody coming at him and he dropped his head because that's what a lot of people do. He's like lowering his shoulder, dropping his head, and made the hit. Nobody's at fault. But I think the equipment could be improved. Maybe
I saw it. I thought his shoulder hit him in the chest.
It was that was what was so spooky. It was such a routine tackle.
Yep.
And that I guess from a player standpoint, what is going to be fascinating, and not that we're going to necessarily visually pull this in on the field. I have to imagine as a player going out next Sunday, you're like, like I feel different. Not like that now. It's not even my head. Like now they're going to be. You would have to be self-conscious about like, I don't want to get hit here now. Like that. Like they're going to play the game differently, and you like there's so many things that we do every day we don't think twice about.
I don't know. I think they probably they've been doing this for so long in their life. It may be right before the game starts, it might be in their head, but once the game starts flowing, they're back to normal.
Yep. Pretty unbelievable. All right, so we don't necessarily have predictions, but we don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah, I could see them getting rolled.
Yeah, I feel like the
Like-
field is tilted
like-
in the favor of the Bills, and we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows?
Especially, I mean, if they were missing most of their cornerbacks last week, so if they're like that against Stephon Diggs, Buffalo's playing for something. They want that number 1 seed to have that bye week,
Yeah,
so they're gonna play like they want to win. They're not gonna start resting people.
yeah, that's the other thing too. It was going to be interesting if they were going to treat it like a week off where they could rest people. They can't now because there is so much uncertainty because of the game that they missed with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Is the intention of the NFL to just start from scratch, or will they go back in at 7-3? Do we know that yet?
They haven't had any details about. They're hoping they don't need to play it. So
Yeah.
And that not the the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, but just think of people that were playing fantasy football and they have Burrow and Josh Allen
Yep.
to win their Super Bowl in their league. Like Tyler was in our Super Bowl in our family league.
Yep.
And he had Burrow, but he was down by like 80 points, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, he had an outside chance, if he went off, but
Yep.
most likely it didn't matter. But I'm sure there was leagues where, Monday Night Football, you got Chase or you got Burrow or Allen or Diggs, and you're within 15 points, and I don't know.
One of the guys
when I went on my ESPN thing yesterday morning, it said that they haven't closed this week yet. So I don't know if maybe they use those players' stats this weekend in those games.
Yeah. Interesting.
And thank you very much for that trade for Brady for Hebert.
It's the least I could do. The least I could do.
Because he just won me that game. He had almost 80 points.
Yeah, he played out of his mind. Over 500 yards.
I think it was just shot. I think it might have been like 492 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so everyone knows. Congratulations, Rubber Shoes, by the way.
Yeah.
So everyone knows next year we will have a real draft, of course.
Yes.
We'll have a real draft. So, yeah, I think we're gonna put a bow on it. I think we're good here. Yeah, we're gonna get back at it next week. I believe we will have Uncle Duke's back, and Adam will be back in position to broadcast with us. We thank you for hanging out. We'd love for you to share and comment and like and subscribe. And above and beyond all that, our dear friends at AAA Work Trucks for sponsoring this fiasco on a weekly basis. We love them for that. So for Rubber Shoes and for myself, we'll see you in and around the internet. You can find all the things at atbshow.com. And tomorrow and every morning, it is the Rubber Shoes Wrap Up and Rant, and that is always on the intertubes. They can find that at Insta and Face. Yes? You're on both?
And I've been Snapchatting, too.
Oh, boy. With that, I will let you all go. Have a great week.